insider mentions that it was definitely Team Blake and Team Justin because there were just struggles of what the movie should be about. It got so bad on set that these two just stopped talking to each other. Hi friend, welcome back to the channel. This Blake Lively and It Ends With Us drama is getting so weird and we need to talk about it. The fact that there's so much drama surrounding this movie has gotten really interesting for me, simply because that this movie and this book and everything has been a part of my life for a really long time, and I've been following it for a really long time. It contains some of my favorite elements when it comes to media. It has to do with books, it has to do with movies, movie production, actresses, media, all this stuff, and I really want to break it all down for you today. At the end of this video, I will be doing a review of the movie because I did see it. And if you want to look for that at the end, that would be great. Before we get to the drama in the movie itself, we have to talk about how we all got here in the first place. We all got here due to the author of the book that this movie is based on, and her name is Colleen Hoover. Colleen Hoover is the author of many romance novels, and she's been writing since 2011. She's written a lot of novels, and she's actually quite popular in the book community as a whole. She was really popular on Goodreads, and then she was really popular on BookTube/YouTube for a little bit. And then when TikTok came on the rise, she became a huge part of book talk. And she was also really popping off on Wattpad. If you guys don't know what that is, it's a site where people can kind of put up their own novels and stories and stuff like that. The thing about Colleen, though, is that she's a very divisive author. People either really love her or people really hate her. People have said that she's either a terrible author, a terrible writer, doesn't know what she's talking about in a lot of her novels, or people like really love her writing and love her romance stories, and she, and she's a really good storyteller. So you have two sides of very intense opinions when it comes to this author, and that leads to her having a lot of controversy. She's been in a lot of controversies in the past, and that also kind of keeps her in the realm of popularity. I can definitely break down her controversies in another video if you guys want, but she's been a part of a lot of controversy. And that's one of the reasons why she's actually one of the most successful authors in this day and age. As I mentioned before, Colleen Hoover is a romance writer, and she writes very intense romances. The thing that makes Colleen Hoover stand out amongst other romance writers is because of her subject matters. Sometimes romance can be seen as frivolous, chick litty, not having enough substance and things like that. But the thing is, Colleen Hoover takes intense real life issues and turns them into romance novels. So she's written about child loss, she's written about infertility, she's written about deaf culture, she's written about betrayal. Because of those subject matters, she's been accused of being exploitative in her writing. People have accused her of taking such serious subject matters and romanticizing them. And on the flip side, people have said that she takes these subject matters and makes it digestible for her readers. And that makes her one of the most successful published authors in the country. These types of books lead us into It Ends With Us. It Ends With Us was released in February of 2016, and it became an instant hit. So I'm going to go ahead and read the back of the book directly to you so you can get an idea of what the book is about. The back of the book says, "Sometimes the one who loves you is the one who hurts you the most. Lily hasn't always had it easy, but that's never stopped her from working hard for the life she wants. She's come a long way from the small town in Maine where she grew up. She graduated from college, moved to Boston, and started her own business. So when she feels a spark with a gorgeous neurosurgeon named Ryle Kincaid, everything in Lily's life suddenly feels almost too good to be true. Ryle is assertive, stubborn, maybe a little arrogant. He's also sensitive, brilliant, and has a total soft spot for Lily. But Ryle's complete aversion to relationships is disturbing. As questions about her new relationship overwhelms her, so do thoughts of Atlas, Corrigan, her first love and a link to the past she left behind. He was her kindred spirit, her protector. When Atlas suddenly appears, everything Lily has built with Ryle is threatened. With this bold and deeply personal novel, Colleen Hoover delivers a heart-wrenching story that breaks exciting new ground for her as a writer. It Ends With Us is an unforgettable tale of love that comes at the ultimate price." So I just read you the back of the book. And as you can tell, It's about romance. It's about an exciting new relationship. It's probably a little bit about a love triangle, right? But something is missing from that description. The thing is, this book is about DV. It's about intimate partner abuse, and that is not mentioned at all in the back of the book. And that's what Colleen has tendency to do with her books. She has tendency to leave out specific details of what the book is about until you actually dive in and read the book. She writes about intense subject matters and twists it a little bit and puts a little romantic spin on it and a little bow on it, and everything is great. At the end of it all, right? This book does romanticize abuse in a way, because the way it's written, you kind of do end up feeling a little sorry for Ryle, even though he's an abusive husband to her. And you also kind of get frustrated with Lily too, because she kept going back to this man, even though he hurt her multiple times. At the end of the book, we do get an insight as to why she wrote this book in the first place. And it's actually an ode to her mother. And she wanted to tell her mother's story. And this book has remained one of the biggest books in Colleen Hoover's writing history. And it's going to be even bigger with the drama that is going on with the movie. So here's some thoughts. Here's some of my personal thoughts on Colleen Hoover, It Ends With Us, and things like that. I've read her books. When I was younger, she was actually one of my favorite writers. I thought she wrote really good books. She's really good about writing good chemistry between her main characters. It's really good that way. I thought she was a great author. I like her. I liked her writing, but I can understand why people would say that it's romanticizing a lot of difficult situations. As far as It Ends With Us goes, I really liked It Ends With Us. I thought it was I thought it was really good. I thought it was deep and personal and really well written. It's actually one of Colleen Hoover's more well-written books, in my opinion. And I've read it multiple times, and I was really excited when this movie came out. Let's get off the author for a second and talk about the person that brought this movie onto the big screen, and that is Justin Baldoni. Justin Baldoni is from a show called Jane the Virgin that came out in 2014. That show was actually a big hit on the CW. From the success of Jane the Virgin, Justin became very passionate about filmmaking and started his own production company called Wayfarer Production. He's made movies like 5 Feet Apart with Cole Sprouse, and of course now It Ends With Us. He obviously has produced a lot of movies under his production company, but It Ends With Us and 5 Feet Apart are the ones that he's worked on as a director. Let it be known here that Justin is a huge feminist and has been fighting against toxic masculinity for a really long time. He has been known to promote women's work, and he's all about women's rights issues, and he's also trying to get men to feel the same way in the fight against toxic masculinity.
And will you be man enough to stand up to other men when you hear locker room talk? When you hear stories of sexual harassment, when you hear your boys talking about grabbing ass or getting her drunk, will you actually stand up and do something so that one day we don't have to live in a world where a woman has to risk everything and come forward to say the words, "Me too"?
Keep this little tidbit in mind for later, because it's going to come up again. Justin bought the rights to the movie back in 2019 through his production company called Wayfarer, like I mentioned before, making him the sole owner of this movie. In January 2023, it was announced that Blake Lively would be taking on the main character of Lily, and Justin would be the main lead of Ryle. Please note here that Blake Lively is married to Ryan Reynolds, making that two huge Hollywood people that are working with this very small director. Instantly, people were very excited about the movie because Blake Lively, a very famous person in Hollywood, was going to be a part of it. Then these pictures came out of Lily dressing a little bit less interesting than what people thought. Of course, the biggest setback of the production of this movie was the writer's strikes and the actors' strikes. And this movie was then put on hold for a little bit and then resumed filming after the strikes were over. I like Justin Baldoni. I really liked him in Jane the Virgin. He seems like a really nice guy. He has a pretty good reputation in Hollywood. He's not known to be toxic. He's not like, he seems like the nicest guy. And I was really excited that he was going to be a part of this film. And of course, I was excited that Blake Lively was going to be a part of it. I was worried that they were going to choose some mid-lifetime TV actress to play the role, and the movie wasn't going to be very good. But it was a huge gamble taking on Blake Lively. Let's talk about Blake Lively. You guys know who Blake Lively is. I don't think I have to go into a huge thing about her. She was from Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. She was in Gossip Girl. She was recently in, before this movie, she was in A Simple Favor, which was a really good movie. She's known as a fashion icon because she does bring it really, really well at the Met Gala every year. She's, of course, like I said, married to Ryan Reynolds, one of the biggest Hollywood stars. She has 4 kids with him. Her father is also Ernie Lively, who was a huge Hollywood actor. Also know that she's best friends with Taylor Swift. So this lady has a lot of connections in Hollywood. Recently, she launched a beauty care line that also kind of coincided with the film at the same time. I know that celebrities have tendency to do this when a huge movie comes out. They want to launch their products at the same time just so they can get some attention on the products as well as the movie. But this movie, a lot of people have said, is not the right way to promote a beauty care line when it has nothing to do with the movie is about. Recently, a video has emerged about Blake Lively being kind of rude to an interviewer when they were interviewing her about Cafe Society.
First of all, congrats on your little bump.
Congrats on your little bump.
What about my bump?
You've got 2 nice ones.
And these, they are kind of bumps, aren't they?
No, not bumps. The lovely lady lumps. Check it
Okay.
out.
Thank you, thank you.
Are
You
you
like the
gonna-
movie? Are you a Woody Allen fan?
I love most of his movies, and this one was so like visually amazing.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Did you guys love wearing those kind of clothes that you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, working in
Everyone
digital.
wants to talk about the clothes, but I wonder if they would ask the men about the clothes.
I would.
I love Jesse's
He has some
suits and
beautiful.
how
That's what I'm
he
saying. His wardrobe was
Oh,
beautiful.
I know.
So some of my thoughts on Blake Lively. I thought she was great. I like her. She seems great. She seems pretty nice. But after this incident, so I'm a little like iffy about her. But I've seen a lot of her movies. I like her movies. I thought she's very good at playing like the normal, happy-go-lucky, like it girl. And that's kind of always been her thing. And I was really excited that she got this role. So let's talk about the movie now. The movie was released on August 9th in theaters. Before the movie came out, a few trailers were released. And the thing about the trailers, though, is that it didn't say that the movie was about domestic violence. There were parts of the trailer that kind of hinted at Ryle being abusive, but it didn't really specify it. The audience did not gauge from the trailer that it was going to be about domestic violence, especially if you've never read the book. You will not know that this movie is about domestic violence. And what did I say earlier about Colleen Hoover? She leaves out certain things in books to add that twist element. During the premiere of the movie, people started noticing something very odd that was happening. Every single one of the cast members were filmed together. They were doing their promos together. They were, photographed together. They were all going on these press tours together. But one particular person was missing, Justin Baldoni. And also, apparently, every single one of his cast members have unfollowed him on social media. The cast was also avoiding questions about him throughout the press tour.
Talk to me, what was that like, having him be director but also scene partner?
I mean, what an intense job! Like to have to do so many things. I just found myself being like, wow, I really just want to have one job at once. And in fact, I've often felt that way. Like, I really like writing, and I like it so much, and it's special to be able to be a writer. But I was looking around, just being like, I'm good with just acting. I love it.
So what really happened, and why is this movie that was supposed to be about empowering and inspiring women turned into this big drama and hoopla? According to reports, it turned out there was a lot of creative differences on set with Blake and Justin. I did mention earlier that Blake was the main lead of this movie, but she did eventually become a producer of the movie. And then she brought in her husband to apparently write a scene in the movie. So to defend this, Blake says, "We help each other. He works on everything I do. I work on everything he does. So his wins and celebrations are mine and mine are his." And I understand that husband and wife working together, kind of giving each other inputs on their jobs, that's fine. But it's a little weird when Ryan Reynolds has nothing to do with this movie. He doesn't have anything to do with this movie. He's not credited in this movie. He wasn't the writer of this movie, but for some reason, he was able to help rewrite a particular scene in the movie. This is why I mentioned earlier, because again, you're taking two Hollywood power couple and working with this director who is barely known just yet. So it's a little bit of a power dynamic struggle there. According to some insiders that worked on the movie, it was really, really intense on set. The insider mentions that it was definitely Team Blake and Team Justin because there were just struggles of what the movie should be about. Should it be more focused on the romance aspect, or should it be more focused on the abuse? It got so bad on set that these two just stopped talking to each other, which is really devastating if you think about it. So the insider says, "The creative struggle set the tone for the negative experience behind the scenes and grew them into not speaking anymore." According to Justin, he felt hurt and sidelined while Blake Lively made various decisions about the movie, like the script and wardrobe changes, without really consulting him and his team. Apparently, she had a really strong opinions and creative directions for the movie, all the way to the point where she ended up having to commission another editor to edit another cut of the film. And that editor ended up being the same editor that edits her husband's recent movie, Deadpool and Wolverine. So again, she's using connections to make this movie happen without much input from the actual director of the movie, Justin Baldoni. Let us remember that Blake is not the director of this movie, so she should not be able to have that much creative control over the movie. But I will say that according to the Hollywood Reporter, it's not uncommon for different cuts of movies to be edited. But the thing is, we just don't know which cut of the movie we ended up watching. We don't know which cut of the movie was Blake's, and we don't know which cut of the movie was Justin's. If you're a little bit confused about roles of people in Hollywood in general and what each person is supposed to do, this TikToker does a great job at explaining it.
Now, this is the interesting part. What normally happens is if there is a production company that's making a movie and there's a director over here, the production company is going to hire the director that's giving them the vision that they want the movie to be. If that vision doesn't line up, they'll usually fire the director and bring somebody else on. But normally, if there's kind of like a differences in vision at the top, nobody else really feels that. The cast doesn't. Maybe we'll feel it on set, but nobody will feel that in promotion or marketing. What's so interesting about the dynamic of this specific movie is that the production company and who's producing it is Justin. But Blake came on and signed on in her contract that she also has to produce it, okay? So now you have two separate visions. And then you have Colleen Hoover, who's the author, who also has very strong say. From what I understand, Blake and Justin started butting heads, and they're not just the director and somebody who's producing it, they're the main actors. They're in 90% of the movie, and Colleen Hoover sides with Blake, which is problematic because that creates, for kind of the first time that I've ever seen it, a dichotomy where like the person who bought the rights and is directing, and honestly I think that Justin did an amazing job and I think that he's in the right, but that's neither here nor there, is there's a super huge power shift where now, okay, the writer of the book and the producer are forcing their power over the person who bought the rights and the director. And they're also both in the movie together. And to make it weirder, the person whose production company is making it, who bought out the rights to the book, who's directing it, is playing somebody who is assaulting the main character. Because of the power struggle of Blake and Colleen, I'm assuming trying to like rewrite a lot of scenes and trying to like kind of show more power, and maybe Blake is like trying to like get the directing credit over Justin. Honestly, you've seen this in movies before, and it's just such a bummer because normally people have like a lot of respect for the positions that you're hired for, and it just sounded like they didn't respect Justin's vision. And the way to like have that not have happened in the first place is Colleen shouldn't have sold the rights to Justin. Blake could have bought them. Blake could have been hired on as the director, but instead she hired on Justin. He started making the movie, and they just tried to take it from him.
The other thing Blake has been accused of doing is promoting this movie as a rom-com when it's really about domestic abuse. She's asked people to invite their friends and dress in their floral dresses.
Hello, Blake Lively here. Colleen Hoover. And It Ends With Us is in theaters now, so grab your friends, wear your florals, and head out to see it.
Floral dresses is what she's been wearing to these press tours and promotional tours, so she was asking people to do the same. Just a little anecdote here. I think that the reason why she wanted people to dress up in floral because she wanted to have it like Barbie summer where everybody was wearing pink and is celebrating Barbie and having their friends come. That's why she wanted that. But the thing is that this movie is about abuse. It's about a very serious subject matter. Nobody is gonna wear freaking floral dresses to watch a movie about such a violent subject matter. And during her interviews for this press tour, it seemed like she just wasn't taking this movie very seriously. She's never really read the book, so she didn't really know how to talk about it in a serious matter.
Understands the themes of this movie, comes across you in public, and they want to really talk to you. What's the best way for them to be able to talk to you about this? How would you recommend they go about it?
Like asking for like my address or my phone number.
To make things a little worse, at her premiere party, she used her company, Betty Booze, to provide cocktails for the party. They made specialty cocktails for the premiere party, and one of them was called While You Wait, which is the main character of the movie, and then the other one was called It Ends With Buzz, which is kind of odd because this is a movie about violence and you're talking about alcohol in the mix. It's all very odd, and it's all not looking very good at all for Blake at this point. Where is Justin in all this? What is going on with him? What is he saying about this? Well, Justin is doing his job. He's going to his own press tours. He's answering questions very seriously. He wants to bring light to domestic violence and domestic abuse in relationships. He's very serious about this subject of the book.
Yeah, well, I think that's the challenge, right? Because what is a typical abuser or a typical victim? I think that there is no typical anything. I think that unhealthy relationships are on a spectrum, and this was a really important one. So, we partnered with our dear friends at No More. It was the only way that I could direct this movie is if I had a group of women specifically behind me who are specialists in this space. And
Maybe talk to somebody who's in this situation, or we read a book, or we hear a news story. The question that's always asked is, why did she stay? And that's the wrong question.
Yeah.
What we need to be asking ourselves is, why do men harm?
This entire drama gets even more interesting because some people have said at the beginning that this could be a huge PR stunt for the movie. Molly McPherson, who is a PR expert on TikTok, actually has a great explanation for this.
Because when it really comes down to it, what is every conflict usually about? Someone wants something that's like ego, hubris, power, people clashing. And Hollywood, of all places, of course we're going to see that. Now, Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively, everybody likes them. They love the banter. They love all the publicity that they get. It's clear in a case like this, the cast had to choose. Do we side with Justin Baldoni or do we side with this power couple? Now, me personally, I could care less what celebrities do. I really am not invested into anyone. However, I've never forgotten how he dumped Alanis Morissette. Did he come out and say that, or did she come out and say that? No, because she's iconic and she wrote it in a song. But this guy has been strategizing ever since, and he's done an amazing job because based on film credits alone and acting, he's not A-list status. However, due to his savvy business moves and collaborations, he is incredibly powerful. The selling of the aviation gin, also having a stake in the Mint mobile app, which you see the ads all over the place, they're slashing the prices. Also getting into a football club. He's doing everything that's iconic in media culture. What's also happening between these two are their friendships, the friends they keep. They're friends with one of the most savvy media culture creators, curators out there, and that's Taylor Swift. Now, now, a question I get asked all the time, like, why do people need more PR? Why do people need more money? It's not just about being popular or getting people into seats, though that's a big part of it. But also, the higher up the chain you go, the more indestructible you feel. The currency that you want is not just financial currency, but you want the currency of indestructibility. So if you do come across negative press, people are not going to lean heavy now on coming at these guys. You're not going to get a lot of negative hit pieces on these two because they're more powerful. The people they collect around them, the more powerful that they get, the less likely people are going to bring them down.
This read at first as a PR stunt, but then Blake started accusing Justin of fat shaming her and lingering on too long when they were kissing and having kissing scenes, which kind of implies there was a little bit of sexual harassment on set. But that would not make any sense because, like I said earlier, Justin is very anti-toxic workspaces. He's very pro-feminist. And it just doesn't make any sense with his brand of work, even though I know some people do have a brand, but then behind the scenes, they're not the people that they say they are. Justin has a really stellar reputation in doing this and making people feel really, really comfortable, especially women on set. These allegations would definitely go against everything he's worked on for the past decade or so. As I'm sitting here recording this video today, up until today, Justin has hired a crisis PR team to help with these allegations and accusations against him. And that's the end of the drama as far as we know it. It's sad that this movie has this drama attached to it, honestly, because I know that Justin really worked really hard for this movie and he really wanted to make it a good movie. And unfortunately, this happened. And I really hope all parties find a resolution really, really soon. My personal opinion about this is that Blake Lively probably should not have been in this movie. They probably should have just went with a much lesser known actress, but I know that they wanted to bring in a lot of eyes to the movie because they're working so hard on it. But she probably shouldn't have been in this movie simply because of the fact that she's too big of an actor. Of course, she's going to say a lot of things about it. Do you think that Blake Lively is going to have something to say if she was working with freaking James Cameron? Like, do you think she's going to have something to say if she was working with Steven Spielberg? No, she would not dare say anything to Steven Spielberg or James Cameron because those are two powerhouse directors and she wouldn't do anything to mess up their movies and their, and their stuff because they're highly respected. So to bring on somebody that's bigger than Justin to this is not fun. And I hate the fact that Colleen Hoover has taken Blake's and Ryan's side in this whole thing. I think that's weird. I think she should have just stayed neutral. But of course, you have to go with the powerhouse person in situations like this because they're the ones that are going to lead you to a higher road, even though you probably know it's not right. So those are my opinions on this whole thing. It kind of sucks. If you're wondering what Colleen Hoover is up to, she has, she's kind of removed herself from socials for a little bit because this is another controversy on top of all her controversies. And she has just kind of disappeared from the internet for now because it's just getting to be too ridiculous for her, apparently. So this is going to be the review portion of the movie. If you haven't seen the movie or read the book, it's going to be a little spoilery, but there's really not that much to spoil. Nobody dies, nothing happens really that much, but I just wanted to kind of take this moment to review the movie for you. I have read the book. I've read the book a few times, actually. I like the book a lot. And I was able to compare the book to the movie pretty well. So let's see. So the first thing I want to talk about is characters. There was a huge difference in the characters. Like I said, they were aged up more. In the book, Lily was actually 22, 23, and Ryan was actually 29. They aged them up a little bit. The reasoning for this is because Colleen Hoover, because the directors of the movie felt like they were kind of too young to have so many aspirations in life. Lily owned a flower shop at 23. I don't think that's kind of impossible for a 23-year-old to own a flower shop. And then Raleigh was a surgeon at 29. Again, that's kind of impossible. So that's why they aged them up a little bit to be in their mid-30s. Lily looks like how I thought she was in my head. Ryle does not look like anything I thought he was in my head. I thought Ryle was going to look more like Stephen Amell from The Green Arrow. Blonde hair, blue eyes, very tough, serious face. Justin Baldoni is a hot hunk, so I think they did a really good job with replacing him with somebody that did not look like in my head. Everybody else looked the same to me. I will say this thing though, the casting did so well at making younger Lily and Blake Lively's character look exactly alike. I don't know where they found this actress, but they did such a good job. They look either like sisters or mother and daughter. It's so freaking creepy how well they did that. So I will give a shout out to the casting for casting her so well. Here's some pictures of them on the red carpet together looking like sisters or mother and daughter. It's really creepy and I love that. The movie did a great job capturing the book as a whole. Every scene that happened was literally as I imagined it. The writers did a really good job. The scenes of Boston were amazing. The characters were brought to life really, really well. The only thing I want to say about it is the pacing. The movie was 2 hours long. It did not need to be 2 hours long, but it was 2 hours long. I wish that they either cut some things out or they sped it up just a little bit. If you're worried about the level of domestic abuse in the movie itself, I wouldn't worry too much if it is a triggering thing for you, because thankfully they don't get into the graphics and the details of the abuse so much. They only show like 3 scenes of it, and they don't show Ryle really, 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 really graphically hurting her, which is amazing because I did not want to see that. But you do see the physical and the emotional toll that it takes on her throughout the movie. So if you're going into the movie thinking that it's going to be graphic scenes of domestic abuse, it's not. It's nothing like that. So I would definitely recommend you watch it. But obviously note that it is about domestic abuse. You don't have to read the book to enjoy the movie. The movie itself can stand alone and the book itself to stand alone. The details, there's not too many different details that they use that are that different. So that's another thing. I think that Justin and Blake had a good on-screen chemistry, but the book captures their chemistry so well. There's so many juicy scenes in the book. I would recommend you read the book just for that, because the juicy scenes are so good and they have so much passion and, you know, and chemistry, and it's so good in the book like that. Nothing really changed about the ending. Everything else was fine. But overall, I recommend this movie. It's good. It's actually really good. It's a great movie that tells the story of this lovable, normal woman who goes through this devastating thing with her husband, who she really was in love with. You can tell she really loved him. One big difference in the movie to the book for me was that Lily was on Ryle's case about the abuse right away. In the movie, she was kind of like nonchalant about it. But in the book, she was like, don't touch me. If you touch me, I'm going to leave you. If you touch me, I'm going to leave you. But she kept, of course, going back to him. But yeah, I recommend this movie. It's nice. It's romantic, but it's hard to watch at times. But I do recommend it. I also recommend the book. Again, the book is really good if you want to watch it. So yeah, so that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video. And you watched it till the end. You're a superstar. I will come back for another video really soon. Bye.